Welcome back to WRPL, the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And we are doing another episode of Make Me Watch. Not a very strong week in theaters. No big releases. We didn't finish anything important, so gotta fill that time. So if you were unfamiliar, this segment is a little different than what we do. We each pick a movie for each other, and you know, something that we know they're probably not going to watch on their own, even if we suggested. So this is a way we can force each other to watch something. So today we have two very different movies to talk about.
Indeed.
Steve, you made me watch Paddington, and I made you watch Freaks. There's a couple of movies called Freaks. I think there's an old one that actually used real life circus freaks and got kind of in trouble in hot water for being exploitative. Never seen that one, but I hear it's pretty weird.
All right.
But there is only one Paddington, the lovable bear from darkest Peru, living in London.
Based on the popular children's book series.
Yes. So I don't know, which one should we start with? Should it be me?
Yeah, let's start with you. Well,
Okay.
First I'll say, partially why I chose Paddington, but ultimately why you chose Paddington. So you have seen many more movies, much more. You have seen more movies than I have.
Yes, I have.
And so it's always hard because I don't know what you have and haven't seen. And a lot of times I've been like, have you seen this? And you're like, of course I've seen that. Like, chances are I'm never going to pick a horror movie for you to watch because you've seen them all. Or at least all the ones probably worth watching.
Or the ones that you would think
Yeah.
you need to suggest to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I gave you three options and let you pick. It was Paddington, a lovable children's movie, Memories of Murder, a foreign film by the director of Snowpiercer and Parasite, and I forget what was the third movie?
The Harder They Fall.
The Harder They Fall, which is a movie I watched earlier this past year and really enjoyed. And
that one I was just like, ooh, that sounds familiar. What is that? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's the cowboy movie.
Which was fun and I enjoyed, but I know you're not a big fan of Westerns, so that was kind of like that was a Hail Mary one.
Yeah, but this is the type of show that it's like, hey, Ben, watch this, Western. I'm like, no, I don't care. I'm not going to watch that. But I have to.
Yeah.
But you made the mistake of giving me options. So I went with the one that interests me the most just because I've heard Paddington is such a good movie. It's a great kids movie and the sequel's even better. And I could not see how this movie was important in any way, special, especially since it seemed like it came and went. Like there was no big fanfare when it was out.
I mean, I think if you were in England, I'm sure this was like the biggest movie at the time over there. But yeah, in America, it seemed like it kind of just fills it out in a way. I didn't even remember really when it came out. But that being said, it's probably the most well-reviewed, or one of the most well-reviewed movies of all time, both 1 and 2.
It doesn't number 2 have like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? It's like
I think they both might have 100%. I haven't checked, but apparently there's just next to no bad reviews for this movie.
Get ready.
So I figured this might be a fun challenge for Ben. Either he's gonna just be like, okay, that was fine, have nothing bad to say, or he'll go, I don't know why everyone likes this movie. It's dog shit. So I'm interested to see where you landed on it.
Well, I guess I gotta say, probably somewhere in between. It's not dog shit. It's not. It is a very sweet, nice movie that's good for kids and has good lessons about, accepting people from other lands and loving someone even if they're different than everyone else. And there's a lot to like, but there's a lot that I just don't like.
Okay.
Especially his wacky antics. Like 25 minutes of him arriving at these people's house. He's flooded their bathroom and like destroyed their home. Of course, it's all cleaned up the next day and no big deal. And
the grandma, she knows like construction and stuff.
Yeah. Then like they sop up all the water and it's good. But he's just this like miniature tornado and he has like the best intentions. He's not trying to do anything wrong, but he just make things so much harder. And those scenes were really frustrating just with any sort of movie where someone bumbles through an experience. And
he's a little tiny bear, Mr. Magoo.
Yeah. So if those are toned down a little bit, I think I would like it a lot more. But I really don't see the major appeal to this. Yeah, he's a nice, sweet bear, but he's not... I don't think he's likable enough to make me like fall in love with this character. He's not so cute that I can look past some of his flaws. I don't know. You've seen this, right?
Yeah, I watched it this week just to
as a
so
refresher?
I could talk to you thoroughly.
Did you
about
never see it before?
No, to be honest. Well, that was part of the reason I chose it, is because like if you watch this, if he picks this, I'm gonna watch it too.
Okay.
Because I've wanted to see it, and I do want to see the second one after watching the first one. But it was one of those movies like I kind of need a reason to watch it.
Yeah.
And so here we are. I watched 2 movies this week.
Yeah. So, did you really like it?
I did. I wouldn't say it's greater than a bunch of other kids movies. I think I don't know if it's British humor. I wouldn't say it's even like a very British movie. I mean, clearly it is, but I don't know if I don't know. There's something about England and everything. Like I don't know if this was made in America, would they do jokes differently, and would I like those
There'd
jokes?
probably be more farts.
Or I don't know. But I did find the movie very cute and endearing. I always find it interesting when it seems like anytime you make British television or cinema, it's either like the most rainy, gray place on the planet, or it's this super colorful place in like kids' movies and stuff. And you never really, and it's so rare for me that I watch something where it's the colorful version of England. So seeing this sort of happy version of this place was a nice change of pace.
Sure.
I will agree that his wacky antics of like, setting a house on fire or flooding it or whatever, it's like those are probably the weakest parts of the movie, but only because that's, sort of slapstick, Three Stooges type of humor.
That's what keeps the kids invested.
Yeah, that's for the kids. Where I thought the rest of the movie was just a really well made movie. I think directing wise, it's actually like really well done in my opinion. I think it's beautifully shot. Like it's almost too well made to be a kids movie. I feel like in a weird way, but fits really well. And I looked up the director, and like before this, he just did a bunch of like small, I think British television or like made for TV movies over there. This was like his first big budget Hollywood movie.
Yeah, I think he wrote it too, or helped write it.
And I mean, he did both of them, and it's just surprising to see this guy like kind of like knock it out of the park with not too much in his background. But I mean, I just like the shot of like when they're trying to figure out his name, and the camera pans up, and there's Paddington Station, and it's like he's at the Lost and Found, and the Found is like fizzled out, but then once like they accept him into the family, the Found comes on. It's just like little stuff like that.
Sure.
The only note I had, it's like I can accept the ridiculousness of like the room flooding without any water getting through. I can accept all this like this cartoony antics that wouldn't really happen in reality. The thing I not hated, but the thing that bothered me was there's a sequence where he's on his little boat coming to England, and he opens up his suitcase that has 12 jars of marmalade, and then it cuts to pan over to where it's like, okay, plenty of time has passed, the journey he's made it to England, and then there's like 60 jars of marmalade. And I was like, oh, he's going to cut back to him, and he's going to have like 3 other suitcases we didn't see.
Yes.
Nope.
No.
They all just magically fit.
I said the same thing.
It drove me nuts because it's like, it would be different if he like opened up the suitcase and it was like a Pulp Fiction kind of thing, and you didn't see all the jars in there, but you specifically saw like 12 jars. Yes. And then there was just a ton of them. Yeah. That was the only thing I would be like, director's note, or producer's note for the director. Just, that doesn't make sense. Either.
And I'm sure they know that. They know it doesn't make sense, but it's a visual gag.
It's a visual gag, and like ultimately like kids don't care, and that's who this is for. But anyway, I found the movie very sweet, and I think there's a lot of, especially nowadays, it's like we need to make Breaking Bads and Game of Thrones where everything's dark and dreary and awful, and the post-apocalyptic and the world is ending and everything's terrible, where it's just nice to see a family-friendly movie that is just very sweet and kind and just kind of like makes you feel good, and I feel like that's what this Paddington did, and I'm looking forward to seeing the second one.
Yeah, after it was done, it's like, okay, I hear the second one is even better, how they up the antics, so I watched the trailer, and it just looks like more of the same shit, but more. Like, oh, the dad had to dress up like a maid at one point to get access to some cubicle. Well, the next one looks like he's going to be wearing like 4 or 5 different costumes. It's like, oh, everything that worked in that first one, we're just going to do it again, and we're going to heighten it even more. And I don't know. It just doesn't look like it's any better. I hear Hugh Grant is really funny. I hear it's not Donald Gleason. It's the other one. It was in 28 Days Later. He's in it.
Brendan
Gleeson.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson.
I guess he's really good in it. And you know, a 2.5 trailer doesn't show everything for an 1.5 movie. So there could be a lot of good stuff in it, but it looks pretty cringy. And I was excited to go to the second one, but now I don't know. I could probably not.
But maybe this is a good thing. Maybe thinking it's going to be bad is going to, you know, lower your expectations. And when you watch it, you're like, wow, you know what? That was better.
Maybe. I don't know. I just don't know if I'm going to jump to the second one.
But I mean, outside of animated movies, how often... When's the last like kids movie that you watched that wasn't, you know, Pixar or Disney?
Yeah,
or something?
I mean, maybe like Witches, the Witches remake, and the remake and the original, and then I think maybe House with the Clock in its Walls, maybe. And I can't say that this is a bad movie. I think I gave this a B- because it does what it's supposed to do. It is nice looking, and he's a very likable bear, but it's just not for me. It's a little too schmaltzy, and I know it's a kid's film, so it should have like nice life lessons and love and emotion, but it's almost a little sickeningly sweet. Yeah.
But see, I thought it was sweet, but it wasn't, you know, eye-rollingly sweet. At least to me, it wasn't. Like all the child themes, like you said, were there, but I don't think it was just like beating you over the head with it or anything like that.
But it's just like, that bear was the best thing this family has ever gotten, and just lines like that made me like roll my eyes. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a good critic for this one because it's not for me.
The dad reminded me of you. Not that you're very uptight in terms of like risk management kind of thing, but I think the second, well, one, it's odd that like this is the first talking bear that anyone's ever seen, and no one questions it at all, which is I actually kind of liked. But
and I thought that would make sense because like the explorer found him, he came back, he explained everything. I didn't know he was kind of shunned because he wouldn't bring back a corpse, but that his expedition became so well known that it just became a thing of, oh yeah, everybody knows there are talking bears out there. They're just kind of rare. Yeah. So then when one comes along, it's just like, oh yeah, I've kind of heard of this thing, right. I guess.
But anyway, yeah, so the dad reminded me of you just because I imagine like the second the bear, like if the bear came inside and just like scuffed up your floor with his feet, you'd be like, he's out of here. Yeah. He's running my floors.
You're in the backyard, you're on the front step, you just flooded my entire staircase.
I don't care if he can talk and he's cute. Get him out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, absolutely, I would have been. So this is the second movie I've seen with Sally Hawkins in that they like to fill up a bathroom filled with water. Yeah.
I liked Sally Hawkins in this. I think she's adorable.
Yeah, she's very cute and likable. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this movie. It's fine if your kid is young. I'd say anything older than 8, it may be too childish for them.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. I don't really know kids and their ages and what's appropriate. Maybe this is good up to 10, but I can't see a 11 or 12-year-old.
No, I wouldn't. This. Yeah, once your kid gets 13, you're probably not going to bring them to Paddington or anything like that because now they can see PG-13 movies and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a really well-made, sweet movie, and it was nice that it wasn't like. I don't know.
It's not mean at all. It's just a very nice movie, and I'm sure it's better than like Yogi Bear.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of movies like this. Honestly, what it reminded me of is like it was a mix between, and it's been a long time, so I don't know if this comparison is completely accurate, but it reminded me of like the whimsy of Amelie with like the childlikeness of Hugo. Okay. And if you like took those movies and mashed them together and put a talking bear in it, it'd be Paddington.
Okay. I was kind of seeing it as a Wes Anderson film. Like if Wes Anderson made kids films, I could see him doing something very similar to this.
Right. Well, when I watched if I remember the trailer for Paddington 2, I thought like, oh, this looks like a Wes Anderson movie. Maybe not so much this one, but there are certain shots that I think in the trailer I was like, oh, this feels Wes Anderson-y. But I would like to see a Wes Anderson Paddington movie, but I don't think it would be like he can make things kind of cute, but also I don't really care for the acting in Wes Anderson movies typically. But their bad performances is just everyone talks so blandly, where like you kind of need everyone to emote and be charming in these movies.
Well, I think if he did this and you cut out all the whimsical slapstick and you just have more toned down fish out of water, bear stories, I can see Wes Anderson handling it because he's not very much an action guy.
No.
So I don't know. I was kind of enjoying it until you got to that first bathtub scene, and then it's like, oh, he's one of these characters. He's this Dennis the Menace, this Clifford the dog, or someone. It's just that bumbling idiot, and nobody ever gets mad at him, and I understand because he is a likable bear. But yeah, I would be the dad, and I'd boot that bear out instantly.
Yeah, fair enough. That being said, speaking of Wes Anderson, like I would love to see Wes Anderson's Die Hard or something. I'd like to see him do an action movie.
Stop. Don't. I guess he could write it himself.
This is a totally different conversation, but I'm just saying, like, I think it'd be funny
for the next,
at least for an SNL sketch.
For the next big remake, put Wes Anderson's name in the hat just to see. If they're doing another Poseidon Adventure or The Towering Inferno, give it to Wes Anderson. See what he does with it.
The Raid 3.
Yeah.
Or Mad Max Fury Road 2.
Yes.
But they're all in like, I don't know, those cartoon cars from like the 1950s that like the wheels make the car bounce up and down.
Like
and
wacky races and
like
stuff.
Little smoke puffs are coming out of it.
Yep.
Yeah,
See, I was picturing
maybe those kind of cars.
For some reason, like at Burning Man when they have like those big like moving wind sculptures, or they had like walking legs. I don't know why I pictured Mad Max being the Wes Anderson style would be a bunch of that.
Yeah,
sort of
it's
stuff.
like Dr. Seuss and the Mad Max were as Wes Anderson.
Okay,
give me that.
Yeah. Just a lot of honks and beeps and awoogas.
Instead of the doof warrior, it's just some giant guy like playing a bunch of weird bassoons.
Yeah, pulling levers and honking horns and stuff. It's like the one-man band sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah. And it's Weird Al.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
we got a new movie here, Ben. We gotta pitch this to somebody.
Let's see what else. Have you ever seen? I think it may be a College Humor thing, or maybe it was Cracked. But Wes Anderson's X-Men. And it was like the first, like X-Men First Class, but Wes Anderson style.
I don't think so.
You should look that up. It's pretty good.
I mean, I've seen the SNL Wes Anderson horror film. I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, so Paddington 2, thumbs up, I guess, but
just barely.
Just barely. And I'll never watch it again. And don't hold your breath for a part 2. So.
Well, I'll watch part 2.
And you tell me if it's really, really, truly worth it.
Okay.
And if I would have had more hours in today, I would have probably grabbed one of your other choices and watched that to have something else to talk about. Because, this isn't one I can't really deep dive into.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most deep movie. It was just after I gave you the wrong Missy last time, because I misunderstood the assignment, and I just gave you the worst possible thing I could give you. I wanted to give you something nice and likable. Yeah. So
I mean, you did a good job. Just that's kind of the risk you take with these things. You suggest something, and hey, maybe they don't like it. And, you may not like the movie I suggested for you. So I guess that's as good a segue as any. I made you watch Freaks. What'd you think of Freaks? Have you ever heard of Freaks before?
I had not heard of Freaks. When you said watch Freaks, I expected it to be some horror movie that I've never heard of. Because when you just hear that title, it sounds like a horror film. But this movie stars Emile Hirsch and Bruce Dern and a young 7-year-old actress whose name I don't know off the top of my head. I think this was her first role or first film role.
So Freaks is about
a father, played by Emil Hirsch, who is protecting his young daughter from the outside world because he says bad men are coming to kill them. So she has to stay inside no matter what, and he occasionally goes out just to get supplies and everything. Her mom was killed by these bad men, and throughout the movie, there's a strange man who's like trying to get her to come outside, and she kind of figures out that she has powers, and the rest of the film is her discovering these powers and realizing that she has seeing visions of her mom, and is she dead? Is she a ghost? What's happening? And then the mystery unsolves, and you kind of like get an idea of what this world is. So spoilers from here on out.
Yeah.
So I did like this movie. As I was watching it, I was like, Ben did it again. He knows me too well. That being said, would I watch this movie again? No. Would it be a movie I necessarily recommend to people? No. I mean, it's clearly low budget, but I think what they do with the budget is really well done. Like, this movie, I think, when I got done watching, I was like, this is the movie Ben and I would have made if someone gave us like $5 million to make it. Like, this is the exact kind of thing that we would do.
High concept, but like small locations, minimal effects.
90% of this movie takes place in a house, in this house that this girl is in. And I'm very impressed with how they sort of brought other characters in the outside world inside, and it dealt with her powers and everything. So it's like you can tell a story and interact with people that aren't actually there, and then continue the story and like uncover kind of what's going on. So in this world, there are freaks.
They're mutants.
But they're mutants.
The X-Men, yeah, they're special powered people.
So they have special powers. And this the young girl has the telepathy powers. So she can find people outside of the house and kind of see, like, and people can see her. So whenever you see, so like there's a neighbor girl who she'll like wake up in the middle of the night, and it'll look like this girl is sleeping in her room, but really she's sleeping in her room across the street.
Yeah. And it's like an astral projection almost, right?
Kind of thing. So it was a cool way to, bring in these other characters.
Because you don't know, because they kind of play it as if like she may be a ghost or something, right? You're not quite sure why this little girl is just in her closet, correct?
No,
it's been a while.
So you kind of get that so her mom is alive. She's not actually dead, but like she's been told that her mom is dead. So it's like you can't be my mom. So you must be like a ghost or something like that. There's a ghost in my closet, I think is what she tells her dad. But she knows that the girl across the street is alive and real because she can see her outside.
Yes.
So anyway, this man who like works in an ice cream truck kind of like tricks her to come outside. And you kind of think like, oh, is he going to abduct her for nefarious reasons? And it turns out that it's actually her grandfather who wants to use her powers in order to help save her daughter, who's been taken to Matic Mountain, this place where they've taken the mutants of this society because society has deemed them all dangerous, and because they're all too powerful, and every new generation their powers get stronger and stronger. So we find out that her mom is being held captive at this place, and Emil Hirsch does not want her to do this because the world's too dangerous and doesn't want her to die. And you also find out that Emil Hirsch has powers, and his power is he can stop time or at least slow it down.
Extremely slow.
Extremely slow. He has built a time bubble around the house, so she has aged 7 years, but her mom was taken months ago, like right after birth. So it was a very cool way to do that in terms of like, how do we, because if it had been 7 years, there's no reason to keep the mom alive. They could have done experiments and killed her ages ago. And Emil Hirsch thought that she was dead. But anyway, that's the story. I really was impressed with the directing of this film in the sense that they did a lot with so little, and it was really well acted. I think you kind of get these Hollywood types in some of these really low budget movies, and they kind of phone it in because it was like, this isn't gonna, I'm not doing this for a ton of money. This isn't gonna like boost up my profile. And I mean, Emil Hirsch is kind of in some stuff right now,
Sure.
which we won't go into. So, maybe he wouldn't have done this movie otherwise.
Yeah.
But I think he's really good in it. I think the little girl is great, and I think she can do. I can see her having a bright future in the future.
A bright career.
A bright career in the future. Yes, thank you. Bruce Dern, I've only seen in 2 other movies. So
Really?
yeah. Hateful Eight and the Nebraska. He was in Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him in anything else. I mean, maybe.
You probably have, and you just don't realize it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's one of those actors who's been around forever, and everyone's like, oh yeah, Bruce Dern's a legend. I was like, what's he been in? I honestly don't know.
Laura Dern's mom.
Hey, Jesus Christ. I had no idea. That makes perfect sense. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you knocked it out of the park, Ben. This surprised me. It connected with me in the sense that it had all the stuff I like in a movie.
Yeah.
Simple, effective. I will say the only thing I can't really comment on is the pacing, because I had to watch it in chunks, because I did watch this at work. So it was like I watched 20 minutes,
Okay.
had to go back to work, watch another 30, 40 minutes on break, went back to work. So I saw it in pieces.
Okay.
So I can't say if it
Maybe
was...
you aren't the best person to talk about pacing.
Yeah, I was entertained all the way through. It's only an hour and 45 minutes with credits. It's real quick. And Amanda Crew, it was nice seeing her, because I haven't really seen her in a lot.
That's the mom, right?
That was Mom. Yeah, she was in Sex
Drive,
Drive,
yeah.
and she was on Silicon Valley. But I started watching Silicon Valley after season 2. So and I was wondering, I was waiting to find out what her powers were, and maybe I missed it. But at the end, she escapes, but she doesn't use her powers the entire time she's in there. But I guess they had these purple neon lights, and maybe they were power stopping, because her ability was flight, so she was underground and everything, so there was no reason for her to use it.
Yeah.
But I also thought, like, oh, she's supposed to be like a Superman type person, because when she takes off, she basically obliterates guys from the shockwave of her taking off, and then when she lands, she does it again and kills all the people around the house. So I just wasn't sure if she was, and I think she does lift like a real heavy object to get to the daughter, who's like now buried under rubble at the end. And I was just, so maybe she has multiple powers. I wasn't quite sure as like why she was like, I wasn't sure her level of abilities. Yeah, but that's just a minor.
Doesn't Bruce Dern have powers as well?
Yes, Bruce Dern. He can turn invisible.
Okay. Wait, doesn't someone have like a teleportation thing? Doesn't like someone teleport his ice cream truck out of there?
So there is. It looks like teleportation.
Oh, it's the time.
But it's the time thing. So Emil Hirsch the Bruce Dern's character shows up, and Emil Hirsch is just like, "You're not supposed to be here. Come with me." And then you see him grab Bruce Dern, and then him and the truck kind of like disappear, and then he comes back, and it kind of looks like teleportation. But then it's shortly after that you find out that I stopped time.
Okay.
So that's how he does it.
Yeah.
But for the special effects look cheap.
Sure.
But they work in this movie for what it is. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think it's a really well-made indie film, and I would be interested to see what else these guys do in the future.
Did you check their IMDb if they have anything coming up?
I did. The only thing they've done, I think, since I believe they did like short films and stuff all before this film, but their first and only, I think, big in quotation marks release is a made-for-TV Disney Channel movie of Kim Possible. Okay. The live-action Kim Possible for kids, which, according, if I remember correctly, it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with 6 reviews. Oh, okay. But from also what I remember reading is that it was the lowest watched Disney Channel original movie in like history up until a year later when another Disney Channel. So it's like no one watches Disney Channel original movies anymore. I guess I didn't know they still made them. But
that's a shame.
Yeah, so they've done one superhero-esque movie after this superhero movie with Kim Possible. Not that she's a superhero, but
Super Spy.
Super Spy, yeah. I'd like to see them actually tackle, real films, not this. But
give them one of the new X-Men movies coming out. See what they can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make a superhero film small like this, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, not everything has to be end of the world sort of stuff. There are bigger stakes within this movie, but it's a smaller story.
And like you said, doesn't need to be some big giant beam in the sky or, they have to face some impossible thing. It's just it'd be, Logan, I would say, is a smaller stakes superhero movie. But yeah, just give these guys a budget and I'd like to see what they can do without necessarily going too big.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. I don't know why I watched it. It was just like something on Hulu. I'm like, whatever. I'll
just imagine you read the synopsis. It was just like superhero or not superhero, people with strange abilities, and you're like, okay, sounds cool.
Yeah, I think this was the year where I was watching a new movie every day, so I really could get through a bunch of crap, and if I pick something bad, whatever, tomorrow I'll watch something new. And it was just one of those, happened to stumble upon it and said, screw it, I'll give it a shot. And I'm glad I did. And then I found it at like Dollar General for like $2, so I bought a physical copy of it.
Oh, you have free physical copy? Wow. Yeah. I would also say watch... if you are going to watch the movie, I think that the final sequence where the ADF agents have like come to the house. ADF is the Abnormal Defense Force or Federate, whatever. Yeah. The government agency that tracks and hunts mutants, essentially. Where they do a cool thing of Emil Hirsch's character is stopping time in certain places so his daughter can like save the mom, because if he stops time, it stops time like everywhere, but he is shooting guys who are coming. I don't know. It's just really well done. And then like you see a missile like coming through the house to blow it up, and he's like, I don't know. It's just
it's like a lot of movies that have special powers. It is generally like super strength, super speed. Things you've seen before. And freezing time and like astral projection are, you've heard of them, but they're not the most common, and they're used really well, and they're used well together to further the story. And especially when she isn't like she's being tortured. And she's projecting herself into her mom's torture room, right?
Yeah, so her mom can see her, but the doctor and the security guard can't see her, and so they just see the mom talking to nothing, and she's just like, "Oh, Chloe, I love you so much," and they're just like, "This chick is fucking crazy. We need to kill her." And then the little girl then takes her mind powers and takes control of the security guard, and helps her escape and all that stuff. So she's like doing a bunch of different stuff at the same time, but it's just like I said again and again, it's just impressive what they were able to do with so little in this movie, and that's the biggest compliment I can give it, and that's why I would say it's worth watching. Because I think it's inventive filmmaking, and I can always appreciate, even if the movie isn't all that great, if you can do something like this, I'm all for it. I support you.
Yeah. Oh, I think for our next Make Me Watch, we need to maybe go a little extreme. Maybe the wrong Missy was a good choice, because it brings out a lot of me, and I can say much more than about a nice kids film.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could. I mean, I don't know if you want to do this, but we could do a thing where it's like, okay, this week I pick a movie I think you'll like, and you pick a movie you'll think I hate.
Ooh.
And then we switch off and do that kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, that'd be fun. And it's just these are so few and far between. It's like I have a list in my phone of all these things I want to make you watch, but who knows if we'll ever get to any of them, because this is kind of our filler stuff.
Yeah, see, I feel like you know a lot of hidden gems where I will be happy every week that you give me something, where I don't have a whole big long list of stuff. Yeah. So I'm just like, I don't know, watch this random thing, and it just doesn't do anything for you, good or bad. Like that's the worst thing I can do for you, is give you a movie where you're just like, eh.
And I'm not saying pick The Godfather, but if you thought of a movie that I haven't seen, like The Godfather, a classic that's like, man, you haven't seen French Connection? You gotta see that. You could always pick something like that. So that's a short and sweet one. Maybe not our strongest picks, but we're still learning. So that was Paddington and Freaks for Make Me Watch. Is there anything you want us to watch? Make them watch. Maybe we'll have a newer segment where listeners get to pick the horrendous thing that we watch. Someone makes us watch like Emoji Movie or something like that. But yeah, no, you got to pay us money for that.
That'll be like a stretch goal. It's like, if we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll watch the Emoji Movie and give it a listen.
And we'll do a 2-hour deep dive on it. We'll
go scene by scene, line by line,
minute by minute.
Harvard graduate course on the Emoji Movie.
Yeah. God, please don't do that. All right. So thanks for tuning in. This is Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Have a good night.